Who's the most ill-prepared for the season? I've got them surviving, but in the bottom six. A huge climber here, up 14 places. I make them favourites to win the title. Well, here we are back again a couple of weeks before the start of another EFL Championship season. So it is time for that yearly tradition, the 1 to 24 video. I'm going to try and predict the entire Championship table for the 23-24 season. That means I'm looking at all 24 teams, not just the one you support, working all the way from 24th to 1st. Yes, it's a daunting task, but it should be a really fun one. So if you're sitting comfortably, and more important, calmly, then here we go. 24th, Sheffield Wednesday. There's an old adage we use on this here channel about the 4 things that relegate clubs: owners, chaos, size, and bad luck. Right here, right now, owners and chaos are making me very worried about Sheffield Wednesday. Things looked so positive after that incredible playoff campaign, promotion from League One. But since then, Mr. Chansiri has gone, well, full Mr. Chansiri. More out, Cisco in, all that bonkers ranting that came with that. And now 2 weeks before the season starts, the recruitment just hasn't begun. The concern for me is that Wednesday don't recruit to where they need to. Cisco can't get things going and things get toxic and even more chaotic. Hopefully, for Wednesday's sake, I'm completely wrong and all of our minds change as we get to the close of the transfer window. But if you ask me right now, and that's what you're doing, who's the most ill-prepared for the season? It's the Owls. 23rd, Rotherham United. Rotherham did a great job staying up in 19th spot last season, and they always do a great job in terms of running their club in a sensible financial way. Yes, the Millers did their side of the bargain to get to 50 points, but you wonder whether a few of the pluses for them last season might not be there this season, like the big star under Paul Warne and the chaos at most of the clubs below them. The recruitment right now looks a net negative, and all it will take, I think, is a small rise in the level at the bottom, a little drop off from Rotherham, and they could be in trouble. Honestly, I'd love them to stay up, given they're one of the few clubs that doesn't just accept losing money hand over fist every season. I said they'd go last season, and they didn't. Maybe that'll happen again, but right now, I've got Rotherham in my bottom 3. 22nd, QPR. There's a lot of red flags at QPR going into this season. Out of the club goes majority shareholder Tony Fernandes, director of football Les Ferdinand, club captain Steph Johansson, and on the pitch the likes of Senny Dieng and Rob Dickey that we've rated highly in the past. Now couple this with the awful slide down the table during really the last 2/3 of last season, and you can see a downward trend plus a lot of upheaval. Now, of course, a reset could be exactly what they need and we get a new era at Loftus Road. But given we're expecting quite a big change of style on the pitch under Gareth Ainsworth too, then it could very well also go in the other direction. It would be a shame to lose them, but I can certainly see more signs of positivity at other clubs we're expecting to be in the mix down at the bottom of the Championship. 21st, Cardiff City. Cardiff have dropped down the pyramid consistently over the last 5 seasons, and the last 2 have been spent towards the bottom of the Championship. We've had way too many managers come and go at the club. There was 3 last season, and we go into this season with Erel Bulut, who's untested in the EFL and English football as a whole. Off the pitch, we've had spending cut massively, as well as that embargo on actually spending any transfer fees. That is going to be lifted in the January window, though. There might be some goals in there with Carlin Grant coming in to team up with Callum Robinson again, and that Aaron Ramsey does give a good feel-good factor. I've got them surviving, but in the bottom 6. 20th, Plymouth Argyle. Plymouth were superb title winners in League One last season and are on a massive upward trend as a club, carrying confidence and momentum to the Championship. They've managed to sign permanently a couple of those star loan players that helped get them to the Championship in Morgan Whittaker and Barley Mumba. and now pretty much everybody at the club, including their excellent manager Steven Schumacher, needs to prove themselves up at Championship level. I've gone with the intangibles here. One, that the trend up will help. And two, winning mentality continues and they can leverage that lovely geographical quirk that seemed to help with that magnificent home record last season. Look, there is, of course, the other scenario that last season's low margin wins turned just the other way. Now we're up at a higher level and it's a long season for Argyle. But good start, keep that home record. Think they're going to be okay. 19th, Huddersfield Town. Now, Huddersfield have given me nightmares in these 1-24s over the years, jumping from relegation escapes to playoff finalists to what looked like certain relegation last season until the return of Neil Warnock. I'd make the same comment I did in the Rotherham segment that whilst Warnock was amazing, Huddersfield finished so strongly, we weren't short of basket cases for them to slip past and overtake. Do I see the top six form from the last part of last season continuing? No. Do I see the new ownership throwing lots or any money at it? Not really. Do I see Warnock knowing his way around another steady season and Huddersfield survival? Yes, I do. He's the difference for me. 18th, West Bromwich Albion. Now here is my first big gamble, as this would be West Brom's lowest finish this century. And this prediction is all down to the ownership and financial situation at the Hawthorns. Parachute payments are gone. It's possibly been borrowing against them to repay as well. The owners are very quiet and very unpopular. There's probably not any money to spend on improving the team in terms of fees. There are still some good players left there, but the direction of travel seems more in terms of players going out rather than coming in. As much as I like Carlos Corberan, this looks like a tricky task, and he did walk from Huddersfield when the way the club was run didn't match up with his expectations. I'm going for a big drop. I know it's a gamble. West Brom 9th down to 18th. 17th, Hull City. Hull just haven't really settled into any stable pattern under the ownership of Aishan Ilichali as yet, but they're going to be hoping this is the time now with Liam Rosenior getting his first full pre-season and a run at the Tigers. They were a bit all over the place, weren't they, under Shota Arveladze early last season. Rossini had to come in and tidy up. Improved them, not hugely spectacularly, but did improve them nonetheless. Recruitment looks a bit more steady now. It was a bit box office, wasn't it, when Ilichali first came in. But I'm just seeing other clubs in that potential area of the table with a little bit more scope to improve. I do like Rossini. I think he'll come good as a boss as we move further down the line. Maybe not yet, and I've got them dropping a couple of places from last season's 15th place finish. 16th, Stoke City. It's a bit of a running joke on these 1-24s when I get to Stoke, as I always predict that this post-Premier League plateau is going to end and that Stoke are going to move back into the top half of the Championship. And guess what? They never do. This season, I've got them holding in 16th spot where they were last season. I do like Alex Neil, but it just feels like getting Stoke going again is more like turning a tanker around than lighting the fuse on a firework and watching it go. I think Neil is probably going to get it right in the long term, like I said about Rossini actually, but I'm not seeing much in the air that tells me a streak up the table is coming. I'm happy to be wrong. All will be revealed soon enough. 15th, Preston North End. Preston always seem to steadily, if not spectacularly, find their way into the middle of the table. Top half last season in the end, but I got the sense that there was a little bit of tension between the fans and the manager Ryan Lowe. North End is in one of those situations where the ownership have enough money to bankroll enough of a loss to get Preston into the middle of the table, but other than that Jordan Hugill sale, haven't managed to generate the funds really to get anything further and get some momentum going in terms of balance sheet. I get that it's frustrating for owners and fans, and I'm looking at a few other sides who I think just might have a bit more forward momentum to overtake Preston this season. Down 3 for me. 14th, Bristol City. Looks like Bristol City have reset after the gold rush ended. I had them neck and neck with Brentford about 5 years ago, but the Bees kept on recruiting brilliantly and selling high, and Bristol City, well, they didn't, did they? Anyway, that's all history, and they've reset now under Nigel Pearson, cleared the decks financially and brought through some brilliant young players. As we speak right now, Alex Scott is still a Bristol City player. That could, though, become a game-changing fee coming into the club very soon. I think the good decisions are already compounding for them in the background, but it might not actually pay off on the pitch for a season or two more. I've got them holding again in 14th, but with a far sunnier outlook than the past couple of years. 13th, Blackburn Rovers. Okay, hands up here. I've got no clue where to put Blackburn. This pre-season has been full of horrible rumours that financially they're in a pretty perilous spot. That will all come out, I guess, if there's any fire behind that particular plume of smoke. On the pitch last year, it was also just really hard to get my head around. When the performance data wasn't very good, Blackburn kept on winning. When the performance data then improved, the results kind of did the opposite, but still, they nearly made the playoffs on the final day. There is no more Ben Brereton Diaz. Rumours John Dull Thomason is getting a bit fed up. He might walk. Who the hell knows how this is going to pan out? So I will stick with a very hedgy 13th. 12th, Ipswich Town. Lots of optimism around Ipswich, so I've got them as a huge climber here, up 14 places from last season's second place spot in League One and that automatic promotion back to the Championship. Now, there's a few reasons why a lot of the football world seems to be very high on Ipswich this coming season. One, the hype around the manager, Kieran McKenna, and the pattern of play that some people argue is better suited to the Championship than League One. We will find out, won't we? That pattern of play did bring a giant winning streak in the final third of last season. That could convert into a good start while other sides find their feet and Ipswich kind of get moving. The final reason is that Ipswich's owners have pushed the boat out with a big spend in League One that looks like it's immediately going to sort of rival the mid-table teams in the Championship. I'm not forecasting a Sunderland-style back-to-back top sixes, but if the middle of the Championship is as average as it can be, then maybe Ipswich can drop straight into that area of the table. 11th, Swansea City. Right, hear me out. I've got a theory about this. I am in gamble mode though. I've got Swansea maintaining a top half spot despite the loss of manager Russ Martin. Now they've replaced him with Mike Duff. So we're going from ultra high possession, fairly slow paced I guess under Martin, to ultra high press, frantic and quite direct under Mike Duff. I don't think Swansea are going to start well, if I'm completely honest. I think it's going to take time for the change in philosophy to find its way onto the pitch and into the results. But I think they will get moving and kind of end up in the top half as the season climaxes. Right now, Joel Pirro, star striker, still with the club. Keeping him would be a huge help. Think he's been linked with all of the Year One parachute teams. So long as some of that money, if he does go, is put back in on the pitch, which it hasn't always at Swansea, then I will be happy with my top half call. 10th, Birmingham City. Okay, stop throwing tomatoes at me. We are going bold for Birmingham. I'm probably going to regret this one, aren't I? But I've got them up 7 places and into the top 10. Okay, it's all based on the feel-good factor at the club after the takeover, but someone is going to surprise us, aren't they? Why not Birmingham? Off the pitch, stability now, we hope, for the first time in years. Yes, Chong and Bellingham Jr. out, but good bunch of players have come in. There may well be more. John Eustace did make a good start last season, and if he can do the same this time, we have the possibility of a club that's really flatlined for a long time, suddenly starting to move back in the right direction. 9th, Norwich City. God, Norwich killed me in my list last year. I had them doing their usual, coming down and winning the Championship title again. Just the 12 places out then as they ended up way down in 13th. Look, I don't see it being that bad again, but it does feel now that the dominant position that Webber, Farker, Buendia, Pukki, that era put them in, it's kind of drifted away a bit, hasn't it? David Wagner seems to be going a bit more physical with the team he's building now. And while I really like a few of the players in the squad, I think the playoff push could end up happening just a little bit up ahead of them. Strange not to be calling Norwich for promotion for the 100th time, but it does feel like that's where we are with the Canaries right now. 8th, Sunderland. Amazing season for Sunderland last time to get all the way from League One playoffs straight into the Championship playoffs. There was a bit of a sense of the door opening up for the Black Cats, but they did their bit and strolled right on through. Sunderland's recruitment is really fun. That's continued again this season with plenty of youngsters coming in. I think this might follow a bit of a Brentford type route if Sunderland are going to be successful. Brentford came up. They did get straight into the playoffs in their first year, but they spent the next few years recruiting brilliantly, building value in their squad before eventually pushing up at the top of the table. I've got Sunderland kind of doing the same. What I will say though is one thing that Brentford didn't have is the giant fan base, and that can always help speed things up somewhat. 7th, Millwall. Oh, Millwall. I've always got them up there, but never quite getting into the playoffs. They've now been 2 or 3 places away for 3 out of the last 6 seasons. Now, this is going to be the first season following the tragic passing of owner John Berylson. He's created arguably the most stable championship club of them all, with Gary Rowett coming in 4 years ago. 4 years in the same job in this division is almost unheard of. I like Millwall's recruitment as always. They'll be solid and consistent as they always are. Others will likely mess things up in and around them, and the Lions will stay steady. That, though, has always been the question about Gary Rowett. Can he turn steady into spectacular, or will steady be enough to get Millwall in the top 6, given their financial position compared to some of the teams they're up against? 6th, Watford. Oh, come on, guys. Let me have at least one that could be ridiculous. I get it. This one could be it. Everything about Watford at this moment points to a trend down, doesn't it? And that's not even taking into account we're trending down possibly from an 11th place finish last year in the first season back down in the Championship. The thing is, I'm fairly confident about the rest of my playoff spots, famous last words. So I'm going to have some fun with this one. 2 things move the needle in the Championship: money and tactical innovation. We can all remember Big Val Ismail's hard-running, very direct Barnsley side. They were horrible to play against, and they got in the playoffs with significantly less budget than Watford are going to have. So I'm going for Big Val to pull it off once again, with the total understanding that he's probably going to have been sacked by November, and I'm going to look absolutely ridiculous. 5th, Coventry City. I'm always looking for stability and an upward trend when we're doing these 1 to 24s, and Coventry just massively tick both of those boxes. Mark Robins seems attached at the hip to the club. He was magnificent in taking them all the way to sudden death penalties in the playoff final last season. I actually thought Coventry were a season ahead in terms of where they got to last time, and top 6 would actually be coming this season. So why the hell can't they do it again? Well, Victor Gyökeres has gone, but there's been plenty done already with that lovely chunk of change they received for the great work developing him. Doug King seems a far more sensible owner in terms of moving Coventry forward. The fans are engaged. The club is at a 20-year high. I'm only seeing positives. Can they keep Gus Hamer one more season though? Playoffs again if they can. 4th, Southampton. Here they come, the year 1 parachute teams. Boring, I know, but look, it's not up to me how the money is distributed in English football. And frankly, I could probably put any of the 3 relegated Premier League sides from last year in first place, and nobody would really be too surprised, would they? I don't really have too many reservations about the Saints. Maybe might have a bit of a slow start, given Russ Martin's style is fairly extreme when it comes to keeping the ball. They've got to learn how to win again as well. They ended the Premier League season last time with a 13-game winless streak. But come on, loads of quality in that squad. They could probably do with getting any big deals done for the players going out sooner rather than later, get retooled. But surely we are looking at a club here who's going to be pushing above or around at least that 75-point mark. Southampton in 4th place. That would be a playoff semi against Coventry if my 1 to 24 is anything worth listening to. 3rd, Leeds United. They're back. They've got new owners. They've got the parachute payments, and Leeds have a manager who's won the title twice before in the Championship in Daniel Farke. I think Leeds are going to win a hell of a lot of games this season, but there is a fair bit to do in terms of tidying up there before things get moving. Plenty of upheaval, wages being freed up by players going out on loan left and right. I'd imagine there'll be at least one, if not more, big sale going out, which means the squad probably not going to settle until the end of the transfer window. Farke, well, he was a slow burner to begin with at Norwich, but I'm not sure that comparison works anymore because he's now managed for years in this country. And let's be honest, Norwich 2017 are not the potential powerhouse Leeds 2023 could be. Why haven't I got them in first or second? Well, it's Leeds, isn't it? They're surely not going to do the simple way, are they? I've got Leeds in a playoff semi with Watford, if my predictions are coming true. Second, Middlesbrough. Now, call me a romantic, but can we get a non-parachute team in the top two this season? You need to go back to Leeds in 2020 to find one under Bielsa. So that's 7 of the last 8 automatically promoted sides out of the Championship in the old parachute bracket. Michael Carrick and Middlesbrough gave it a really good go last season. They played some lovely football, scored loads of goals, and if, and it's a big if, he can roll out that over a whole season, then Borough could be into that rarefied 80 plus points air. It would all have to line up. Chuba Akpom's going to have to be on a similar level, and some brilliant loan players' output will need replacing. But in theory, Borough should be ready to go right from the off, and after being done by Mark Robins in the playoffs, Michael Carrick is going to want to take that next step. He's highly rated. Can he become a promotion-winning Championship boss? First, Leicester City. A lot about Leicester this coming season is giving me vibes of Newcastle 2016-17 under Rafa Benitez. Not just a Premier League survivor, Leicester were finishing 5th twice in the last 4 seasons before their spectacular fall to relegation last year. They have banked a ton of money already in player sales, like Newcastle did. They seem to be signing a level of player also who should have no issues whatsoever in taking them straight back up to the Premier League. The only potential fly in the ointment is the manager. We just don't know how Enzo Maresca will take to the Championship, but surely if he is merely competent, Leicester are going to be winning most weeks. If he's anywhere near good, then I make them favourites to win the title. There we go, another 1 to 24 in the bag. Surely I'll get at least one in the right spot, won't I? We all know there's at least one, or maybe more, evil prediction in there that's going to make me look so silly. What are you going to do, hey? Now it's over to you guys in the comments. Oh dear God, the comments on this video every year. Let me tell you my dream scenario, and then I'll try and respond preemptively to what will actually happen. My dream scenario, I'd love you all to sit and plot out your own 1 to 24 using logic and reason, especially when it comes to positioning the team that you support. If you do that, we can have a brilliant time capsule of what people were thinking before the 23-24 season started. Huge thank you in advance to all the people that take the time and effort to put their own 1 to 24s up. I'll now try and address the less fun comments here and now, so I don't have to reply down below. Look, if your comment is angry or emotional about my list, calm down, breathe. It's a bit of fun. If you're taking the forecasts of a man trying to overcome infinite odds to predict the outcome of an entire 10 months of football personally, come on, that is not a good place to be, is it? If your comment only focuses on one team, let me guess, it's the team you support and you think they should be higher than I've put them. How bloody original, right? Well, that doesn't work really, does it? We're placing all 24 teams. Each place you put somebody means somebody else can't go there. So if you move in one team, the obvious end game here is you need to put in some effort and do all 24 and not just think about one. And don't think I don't notice when you just take my list, move 5 teams down one and bump your team up 6 places. I do not want your team to be relegated. I haven't written off anybody's team and nobody goes under my radar. I hope your team has the best season possible. If they do, I'll be happy for you. Imagine that, regardless of whatever my 1 to 24 list 10 months previously says. Finally, if you think any of my predictions are lazy or I have an agenda against your team, honestly, go f yourself. Sorry for the rant, but I put loads of effort into this every year. I respect every club and every fan who watches this, and I would hope for just a little bit of the same back. So if you haven't already, 1 to 24s in the comments, go, and why not click here for a lovely playlist of all my 1 to 24s from the past few seasons, the good, the bad, and the ugly.